Welcome to the age of iPad kids. Gen Z, we're told, is terrified by the prospect of raising a generation of children who are slaves to their iPads. The term iPad kids is commonly used to describe children who are raised without any restrictions on their...
Yeah, I've seen like a lot of kids just sit down with like iPads. Like parents, like friends of my siblings that are old enough that have kids, they just put like a kids game or something like that and give it to the children so they just like get distracted and do nothing and don't complain or do anything. I feel like this is like, I remember when now I'm gonna sound old, but I remember when I was young, I remember parents really wanting kids to stay away from the screen as much as possible. But now it seemed like we've shifted to the phase where parents are trying to push their kids towards the screen as much as possible.
Screen time. And the topic, ironically enough, gained significant traction on TikTok amongst TikTok kids. There is now a whole genre of TikTok videos that have garnered millions of views.
Bro, what the hell is that? What is this?
Genre of TikTok videos that have
what is this?
garnered millions of views, where users openly criticize and ridicule the behaviors of iPad kids, throwing tantrums when the devices are taken away, displaying a complete disinterest
the kid is already balding. You gotta get this kid away from WoW. Like, he's already balding. It's nuts.
A complete disinterest in engaging with others, lacking the ability to play with traditional toys, etc. But behind all the sarcasm and dark humor lies a whole host of uncomfortable truths about where our society is going. The kids of today are bad, but the kids of tomorrow will be living a life we can't even think of. Generation Alpha is something we don't want to think about. But what's actually going to happen to these kids in the future?
He's playing Fortnite.
To understand what's going to happen and why iPad kids are such a terrifying phenomenon.
True, there's no way a kid plays WoW.
A few decades ago. It wasn't long ago when it was normal for children to play outside, unsupervised for extended periods of time, specifically to play with other kids from their neighborhoods. Your parents probably did the same, all for extended periods of time, completely unsupervised, playing sports, building forts, and climbing trees. And doing this helped children develop useful skills for their adult years. They learn how to communicate, how to negotiate, how to delegate, how to defend themselves, how to make friends, and the importance of teamwork. It helped them develop lifelong friendships. Play helped these children develop as humans to become, as the author Nicholas Taleb said, anti-fragile. It fostered creativity. Play, along with other key components like community, traditional family values, and religion, helped form what philosopher Peter Berger called a sacred canopy, an invisible structure that stretched over society, providing a shield that protects people from the uncertainties and cruelties of life.
It also allows, like, people are really socially, they struggle a lot with social interaction and understand what is going on with like anything that happens in the world and anything that happens in the atmosphere around them. And I think like being around a lot of different people while you grow up, it definitely helps you be more social and then more understanding of situations that goes on, and 100% makes you realize more whenever you say something fucked up. Like whenever you do something fucked up, whenever you say something fucked up, if anything bad is happening, people have social anxiety and don't know how to communicate at all to anyone. And that is when kids like meeting each other up and like meeting and talking and hanging out. So if you put a whole generation where they're all stuck to sitting on the iPad, they have barely any social interaction, they don't know how to communicate, they don't know how to read a situation or the atmosphere, then obviously this is just going to turn really bad. They're just going to sit for themselves most of the time. They're going to just feel probably depressed and just have a rough time as they grow up, because these things as a kid is actually really crucial and detrimental to how you grow up and how your brain works. Like I think it's tragic, and I don't understand how a parent can just be like shoving a child in front of an iPad every day all the time for ages and not think that maybe this can be bad. Because even though I'm like, you know, dude, I'm an adult, right? But I can see the value in the factor of having a good balance between everything. And I think that it is wrong to take away games and the displays and screens and stuff from a kid to you know, because it's fun. Like the kids chilling out, they're having fun. It is wrong to always take it away, but it's also wrong to like basically push it onto their face all the time and make this a norm. The best thing is a balance between social interaction and meeting people and doing things, and also like having the fun of, you know, if you like playing games and you like doing that, you can just do that sometimes. But often I feel like a parent's job is often to raise your child correctly. And the parent's job is really to push them into doing activities and social interactions with other kids so they can develop and form their own personality and have a better understanding of like how to be around different people. And whenever a parent just shoves the iPad in front of them, I think you really have fucked up and failed, because you're not really you're not doing one of the crucial parts the kid really needs to learn.
Outdoor unsupervised
Making
play
a miss
helped
it.
create better citizens.
I
and
think
in
good
turn,
morning.
a better
Hope you're doing
society.
good.
However, in the early 80s, outdoor unsupervised play became far less frequent, replaced instead by closely monitored trips
Corona
to the
also
park
was
and
like
heavily supervised
super bad
play
for
dates.
this.
By 1997, the year Generation C officially began, the days of widespread unstructured play were officially dead. And fast forward to today, an outdoor unsupervised play
Did you
has
go
almost
mountain
been
climbing,
entirely
Dave?
replaced by indoor unsupervised screen time, and family time replaced by
I'm
screen
doing
time.
great,
Today's
thank you.
children suffer from nature deficit disorder. a
Something
term
feels
coined by
unsettling
author
today
Richard
though, but I'm not really sure
Yeah.
what.
Creating
Hope you're
an
doing good.
environment in which I believe, by definition, they are less alive. What parent wants their child to be less alive? What
Less
teacher
alive.
wants their students to be less alive?
At the same time, rates of childhood conduct disorder.
Yeah, I'm gonna
have
be
become-
honest. Some days I could be on the PC, and I'm gonna be real. I don't think I'm alive. There are moments like, but this is my. It's like a bear moment where you're just trying to rely. Like, I have these moments where I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to do anything. All I do is the entire day, I just listen to classical music and I just play something, or I just look at stuff and just chill out. And it's like a recharging day. This happens sometimes. It's very rare, but it happens sometimes. Usually after like super long stretches of the stupid events. But I mean, if your kid is on the recharge time every day, if this is how the base know how they act, I could see them not really being that alive.
The psychopathy continues to increase. This worrying rise is completely connected to a lack of unsupervised play and the fact that more and more parents are outsourcing their role as primary caregivers. And outsourcing to who? Well, the people who control the algorithms.
Yeah, that sounds
Artificial
unsettling,
intelligence
Memo.
like Siri, Alexa, and a whole host of other artificial creations have zero interest in protecting them
Wow,
as
is
vulnerable,
back
instead
up.
using them
I
as
don't have
pawns
time to
advertise
call her.
you, mold,
True.
and create into the ideal people
Based.
for Amazon, Apple, or whatever big tech company. In truth, these advanced algorithms target babies and toddlers, identifying their weaknesses and exploiting them mercilessly, so as they grow up they're always dependent on their tablets, and the effects of this will be disastrous for society. But the problem is today it's more and more tempting to rely on screens. Parents today have so many things to do. Both parents usually work now because no one has any money anymore, and so when parents come back exhausted, it's just so much easier to give their kid an iPad, while the parents can relax for an hour or two. But ongoing
Yeah, I think it's a bigger issue than just like thinking, oh, parent lazy. I think that how much things cost nowadays, and how just generally the average earning has not increased by time, makes parents work even harder and have way less time to put energy into their child, which blows. Like, I look at my sister. I think she sleeps maybe 3 hours every day for like over a year. I don't understand how you can even function like that. It makes zero sense. At the moment, being a parent in this world actually sucks. It blows. It's not easy. It's super hard. So you can always blame the parents about shoving an iPad in front of a kid, but in the end of the day, they are so exhausted that they see it as the easiest way forward to actually kind of function and work and keep doing what must be done. It
Research
sucks.
consistently highlights the long-term effects of
Just give them a
excessive screen
PC.
time
Yeah,
on
true.
kids. Such effects include memory impairment, reduced emotional control, heightened levels of apathy and anxiety, lower levels of empathy, delays in speech and language development, and even criminal behavior.
liberals
And when parents aren't
controlling
watching their young
algorithms.
ones, sexual predators are. And I mean that quite literally. but more on that later. In 2017,
How do we
psychologist
get
Dr.
there?
Jean M. wrote for The Atlantic that Generation Z has in many ways been destroyed by the rise of smartphones. And we all know this. Generation Z is more anxious, more depressed, more suicidal, less likely to date, less likely to have sex, less likely to venture outside, less likely to have any friends, less likely to talk to family members, more lonely, more isolated, and more depressed. Generation Z is down bad. We all can see this. It's a horrific
Down bad the
transformation
wrong
in the last
way.
few decades that has created the generation we see today. But just think of Generation Alpha, i.e.
Oh
the
my
iPad
God.
kids, who are going to be even sicker, dumber, sadder, and more lonely than Generation Z is today. Not to mention fatter. You see, children in the past would engage in hours of play every day, which not only allowed them to burn calories and maintain their physical fitness, but also facilitated social interaction, enhanced cognitive abilities, and alleviated stress. However,
At least Gen Z has TikTok, right? I don't know, like TikTok, I'm gonna be honest, I think TikTok has been as bad as it is with some things, I think TikTok has been a great driving force to get Gen Z to be more active, to be more sporty, to work out. Like, there are so many people interested in body lifting and working out and going to the gym because of TikTok. But unfortunately, it also has the negative side, because it's also representing like big muscle, big progress in short manner of time. And then you get into substance that are like steroids and other things that are actually super common, and people endorse and try to recommend people to start taking it in places like TikTok. So it is good that you have Gen Z that are kind of trying to always stay fit, because they have these kind of internet bases which is pushing healthy ways. But also it's bad because they're trying to be always representing themselves, showing themselves to the market, which pushes them toward subjects that will make it an easy road forward, which absolutely sucks. So I wonder if these trends will kind of stay or get worse with the next generation, or if this generation will just be fat, die, and lonely and not give a fuck about anything, and just you know Oof,
playtime is diminished. All aspects of childhood development have been negatively affected, with the consequences on health and obesity being particularly concerning. The association between increased screen time and obesity is undeniable. More screen time activity tends to go hand in hand or hand in mouth with higher food consumption.
if I will ever have a kid, I will make them farm my maths in video. Oh no.
Exposure actually leads to a heightened desire for food.
That is child abuse. You're making your kid play BDO? Oh my god. Somebody get it. If this guy has a kid, get it out of his hands. I remember I always heard people say that they would in WoW, if they have a kid, they would just make the kid like farm mats and WoW and stuff. It's so funny.
Increased snacking habits amongst children and teenagers. And to compound this, studies show that the most obese children go on to become obese adults. In fact, about 55% of kids who are obese during their childhood will continue to be obese during their adolescence, ostracizing them even further. That's why it's now estimated that around 80% of adolescents who are obese will still be obese when they reach adulthood, ostracizing them further and further, making them more unhealthy, making them have less testosterone, and less ability to actually enjoy life as they should be. And if you don't believe me, most children now have a cell phone by the age of 7. Just look around you. So many kids at restaurants everywhere you go are on their iPads or their iPhones, going online for
I had a
hours at a time,
cell phone when I
doing
was
things that their
11,
parents are
I think, or
completely
9.
oblivious to,
I think I was
fueling a
11
huge
actually.
mental health epidemic for children, which is why in recent years there have been record levels of sadness and self-harm within kids. Instagram in particular has been found to have detrimental effects on mental well-being. A study investigating the frequency of Instagram use revealed a strong link between its usage and various negative outcomes such as depression, lower self-esteem, appearance anxiety, and body dissatisfaction. Millions of children as young as 10 use Instagram and are regularly bombarded with sexualized imagery and traumatizing self-harm footage. Not to mention always feeling insecure compared to the people who live better lives than you, or at least they seem to. So is it any wonder that kids today are so miserable if we're setting them up like this in the first place? Their innocence is being ripped away from them at such a young age and replaced with something truly awful. Even YouTube Kids, designed specifically to cater to children as young as 4, is really not safe at all. The application has been shown to offer children content of a sexual nature, as well as material focusing on alcohol and drug consumption, predator content, and other strange things.
This is also really good. They don't gonna be bald.
More recently,
yeah, apparently. So I heard apparently a study. In 5 million years, there will not be any men anymore. There will no longer be men. I don't know how that works, but apparently we're turning less. We're becoming less manly with each generation. It is what it is, boys. Boys, you will be soon. There will be no more boys. It is over. How that worked though is something about testosterone and other things that we are sort of losing with time and getting less and less. So we're just hitting a point where there will just not be any more men created. I don't know how complete. I didn't really read all of it, but I've heard like a few studies about it recently. It's kind of been a very like popular topic to discuss, but I haven't like really educated myself completely on the topic. But in the end of the day, who gives a shit? You're dead in you're not alive in 5 million years. Who cares? Like humanity is probably gone. We're probably dying before any of that anyways. Like all of humanity probably just gonna die from it, like it's like anything else. Like it's probably something from outer space or the climate change or something else ruining it.
A number of reports have emerged regarding
That's funny. No more men. Amen. Hell yeah. Let's go, queen. Only girls allowed.
Children as young as 2.
Have isolated somebody so people can understand exactly what we're talking about. On the left of the screen, there's the real episode of Peppa Pig when Peppa goes to the dentist. And on the right, that fake that you're talking about, fear, torturous appearance. And here's another example that we pulled from Paw Patrol, which you mentioned. Firefighter to the rescue. And then on the right, the fake, the crash, the death, the fear.
Basically, nefarious individuals have tampered with content from popular and cherished children's franchises, including well-known shows like Peppa Pig, Nickelodeon's Paw Patrol, and Disney's Froze. These perpetrators have inserted inappropriate and unsettling content featuring beloved characters, causing subliminal trauma to unsuspecting toddlers. And these are the people bringing up children today. When you get parents out or they come back...
Listen, you know what I watched when I was 7 years old? I watched Courage the Dog. If you want to talk about traumatizing things, I watched that. I think I was 8 years old and I watched the original Ring. Dude, I don't know, man. You gotta make something really fucked up for it to be traumatizing for kids. Like, hello? Courage the Dog was like an animated show about the most nutty stuff ever. Suddenly there's this bald, weird 3D guy in a 2D animated show just telling you you're gonna die. Like, huh? Where are you coming from? What are you? Some Pharaoh bullshit. Like, where that thing scared the fuck out. I remember that. But dude, what are these YouTube shows really showing kids that it's so traumatizing? That show was actually horrifying as a child. It was insane. I loved it though. I think there was some things that were horrifying, like really scary. But if you look at it as an adult and think to yourself, wait, children should probably not watch this. But if you look at most things on Cartoon Network back in the 2000 late 90s, all of it was insane. Like let's say like Ed, Edd and Eddy, Johnny Bravo. Like my favorite thing about Johnny Bravo, this dude is stranded on an island with 5 feet Amazonian women, and all he can think about is getting stepped on and beaten by these women. He's like, hubba hubba. It's like, why would a kid watch this? I mean, I wish I was him, but hello, like what the hell is going on?
From work all tired and exhausted, they just give the iPad to the kid, who is then raised by these predators. The girls seem to have
That's why so many people have the tall women fetishes now. I think actually a lot of these children's shows that we used to watch had so many weird things going on that these mentalities have been drifted towards us. For sure.
It's just more and more we find out how bad
we got programmed by Warner Bros.
We've all seen these articles like teen girls are facing a mental health epidemic. Teen girls report record levels of sadness. American teen girls are not okay. Each one loaded with these horrific stories and weird side effects. And in recent times, psychological professionals have seen a huge rise in individuals seeking help for mental health disorders and symptoms resembling Tourette syndrome.
You guys remember Cow and Pig?
TikTok's actually
oh my god.
As these are now being called TikTok
like the devil was even there.
Particularly young girls, are
with his fat ass cheeks just spread around.
Exposure to social media influencers.
Yeah, like we even had like Cow and Chicken, where the devil was just walking around with his ass cheeks out. Who the hell thought that was a good idea? Even the Powerpuff Girls, the red hair lady. Oh yeah, with the claws. Oh, you mean the president girl? Oh, true.
exhibit these symptoms. TikTok tics are distinct from what medical
I was thinking about
professionals
the
usually
devil.
see in
Holy.
patients with Tourette's. They're an example of mass sociogenic illness, or mass hysteria, where behaviors, emotions, or conditions spread spontaneously within a group, including online groups. Moreover, the more time individuals, especially girls, spend on social networking websites, the more likely they are to experience psychological distress and even contemplate ending their life. With 60% of young girls claim they have now experienced bullying online as well, just compounding the mental health epidemic even worse. Is it any wonder that Gen Alpha is doomed? If Generation Z is as messed up as it is today, what's the generation of iPad
Somebody
kids
bring
gonna
in the
look like
Tyler
in
1
20
tweet.
years? Especially when screens and social media are not only ruining their mental health, but also making them devoid of any emotion in the first place. You see, there isn't just a rise in TikTok tics, but social media sites like TikTok and YouTube are actually shown to increase psychopathy. Now, psychopaths, otherwise known as people who suffer from antisocial personality disorder, are characterized by their coldness, manipulativeness, antisocial nature, and narcissistic tendencies. And of all the people in society, they tend to be some of the most toxic, doing whatever is needed to get what they want when they want it. Society and your well-being is of no importance. They will do anything they can to get whatever they want. And this disorder is often associated with early childhood encounters such as maltreatment and rejection. And yes, you probably guessed it, extensive use of screens and social media. To be diagnosed with psychopathy, one must be over the age of 18. Before 18, a child is diagnosed with something called conduct disorder, a severe behavioral problem which often involves aggression and law-breaking tendencies. And the research clearly shows that childhood CAD symptoms are significantly associated with greater daily social media use during emerging adulthood, and that more daily social media use is significantly associated with various antisocial behaviors. Antisocial conduct in childhood is a strong predictor of criminal behavior in adulthood. And if you think about it, our society already in the West is designed to promote the most psychopathic of all. The most greedy, narcissistic are rewarded the most. And this hamster wheel is only going to increase, especially with screen time hampering our capacity to interpret facial expressions and acquire social skills, both of which are crucial elements of cultivating empathy. And once social media removes empathy from the human equation, and you quickly find yourself surrounded by a large amount of Patrick Bateman-like people, the most virtue-signaling, empty, vacuous, plastic people, who have no care for the society that has brought them up, or the people around them. Just more instant gratification, more dopamine. This is the generation of iPad kids. And of course, not everyone's going to be a psychopath, of course not. It's an incredibly rare thing in the first place. But the lack of empathy and growing narcissism that growing up on an iPad causes is a really worrying sign, especially when you look at modern day influencers today, the people actually raising your children. You see more and more influence.
If you allow your kids to watch these guys, you're gonna have a fucked up kid. I'm not gonna lie, man. Holy shit.
Today, the people actually raising your children. You see more and more influencers are always there in your child's life now. They're the ones on your screen, the ones trend-jacking TikTok, the ones setting the culture of today. And when you look at the biggest influencers now who flaunt their opulent lifestyles and endorse things like OnlyFans, are these really the people you want raising your children? The Adam 22s, Logan Pauls, Neons of the world. All of these shallow, superficial beings who fills kids' head with idiotic, sometimes dangerous ideologies. And worryingly, as more and more studies show, influencers are having a profound impact on the psyche of kids, shaping their ideologies through the spread of distorted, emotionally charged narratives, propagating materialistic wealth, greed, self-absorption, and just bottom of the bucket behavior. Your daughter's being raised by Cardi B, Ruby Rose, Sexy Red, rapping about their genitals and the glories of promiscuity, warping little children everywhere with the impression of what others actually find attractive. Boys who are told to get more hoes, to get more money, to neglect of what others actually find attractive.
Is that who I think it is? No way. Is that Zerka? It's probably someone else, right? There's no way. I just thought, I mean, he has sunglasses on, so it's kind of hard to see.
To get more hoes, to get more money, to neglect culture and tradition, and screw everyone over. Children who are influenced by adult content at such early ages. I'm not even kidding, today kids as young as 9 are regularly exposed to adult content. And this is not the adult content of your parents' time. We all know what this is. It's the most degenerate, debauched content imaginable. Compilations of the worst things you can think of, completely destroying your children's dopamine. Because in our society, people are just too tired and overworked to even have the time to raise their children properly anymore. So giving them an iPad to numb them just seems like the easier option today. But when you really think about what's going on here, when you really think about what they're being influenced by, the fact that children everywhere are watching this kind of content before they've even had their first kiss, what is this doing to children's brains? Well, not only is it ruining their attention span and their empathy, but it also has detrimental effects on their developing prefrontal cortex, a region of the brain responsible for rational decision making and impulse regulation. Consequently, when this area is compromised, children are prone to displaying impulsive behavior and making even worse decisions. Without a fully functioning prefrontal cortex, a human runs the risk of living life full of recklessness and poor choices. Even the iPads given out in schools aren't safe. This is more and more stories emerging involving young children, third graders, being given unfiltered iPads and being fed the most disturbing material by these algorithms. Although Apple's screen time was introduced in 2018 to stop this very sort of behavior, with restrictions ostensibly designed to help parents and educators, it's usually never that effective. Children can just easily circumvent these minor obstacles and end up accessing the most depraved content you can think of. New research from Imperial Software shows that 1 in 4 young students watched harmful or violent content online while in the classroom, and 17% were watching
people would be more into having fun. Isn't that crazy?
1 in 10 children have used gambling sites through these iPads. And again,
they're being winners. But how did they get the money? These kids are about to be millionaires before they're 18. If they keep gambling, oh man, they will be rich.
To be clear, all in the classroom. If all this isn't depressing enough though, there's one thing that's even worse than a generation of iPad kids. Predators exploiting Generation Alpha.
All on the red.
And they say that in a city, you're never more than 6 feet away from
Time to become a full-time influencer
children
kick.
are never more than 6 clicks away from a predator. You see, social media has, in many ways...
What if VTubers had their dark hour? Like, you have a VTuber doing whatever the hell they want to do on Twitch, and then they have their dark hour when they go to kick, and they start doing crack. They talk about crystal meth, and they're gambling all night. One day this will be a reality. One day there will be a VTuber that has their dark hour, and they will just be completely fucked up on kick. And I can't wait to look at that documentary. That's going to be interesting.
Safe haven for predators.
Actually, to be honest, I feel like I've seen a lot of streamers and stuff like that do like gambling on kick. Like they just like, oh, I'm just now streaming on kick and we're doing some gambling and shit like that. Which is not too smart. Like, damn, you're getting the bag, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know. At least you're getting the bag, but that's what they're opening to do, like some weird sponsorship. There was a VTuber which were fucking her manager and top donator, I think. Damn, she was an idol and got terminated 2 or 3 months ago, I think. Did she make enough though?
Who can hide behind fake profiles
on
and lure unsuspecting
getting
children
that sticky icky
into potentially life-destroying, even life-ending traps. Now, the Wall Street Journal published an extensive report showing how Instagram connects a vast predator network around the globe. Although Instagram users are supposed to be at least 13, many users are as young as 10. And this number is going down.
I think like they gotta really be better with castrating like pedophiles around the internet. There like needs to be more focus. I mean, like, obviously, I don't think even teens, I don't think you should use social media or have the access to social media until you're like 16 or something. But I mean, because that's not a rule. Government should really focus on castrating more like pedophiles they find on the online and try to look for more, because this is disgusting and sick.
Down and down as more and more kids get iPads, and unbeknownst to them, that young child they're communicating with
without an ID,
a 58-year-old man.
You get an ID in my country whenever you're like 13. So the thing is that I think you should have ID. You require ID, or you just require to be 16. Like something needs to be done. I kind of like the Korean way where you use an ID to make an account, but I know a lot of people prefer their privacy in many ways. Yet again, I think this is a bit of an issue.
With the most vile intentions imaginable. Meanwhile, TikTok, the most popular social media platform in existence, has been called the perfect platform for predators.
But you know the drill. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
The type of people who specialize in destroying children's lives.
But the point is that the reason why I said that, by the way, is because I get what you're saying. You basically want people to... The only time they're allowed to use social media is when they're turned 18, when they have an ID in most countries. But I'm just saying that there are countries that give IDs in different age groups, and just having an ID would sort of like, it doesn't really matter. But I guess that if like being 18 should maybe be the benchmark, I think 16 is fine. I think honestly, 16-year-olds, like, I mean, when I was 16, it was like crazy long ago, but when I was 16, like, I was thinking to myself, pretty much nearly the same way I was thinking when I was 20. Like, I was rational. I wasn't like, I wasn't rational, but I was like thinking about things properly, and I was thinking about it in different ways, and I had a really grown up thought process, I want to say. And I think like 16 is a perfect year, like a time to allow like at least people to use social media and stuff like that. Anything under that, I think is too damaging. Yeah.
A recent study conducted by Israeli and American cybersecurity experts reveals that predators who contact kids through social media exploit security breaches to secretly activate their webcams without the knowledge or consent of the children. And at the same time, there's been a huge increase in cases of children falling prey to online extortion, sextortion, the criminal act of manipulating children who are then coerced into sharing explicit images of themselves with abusers. These abusers then threaten to distribute the pictures if a ransom is not paid to them.
Sexual predators are on a new playground here, targeting kids by chatting with them while they play popular video games.
CBS 8's Anna Marie McNichol working for you with how parents can protect their kids from becoming victims.
Where children are spending their time online.
And that is the problem, though, in many ways.
An increasing number of reported content now involves the most severe category A images. And even more worryingly, is that children are now able to use iPads to access the dark web so easily. Now, as many of you may know, that the dark web consists of a hidden collective of internet sites, only accessible by a specialized web browser, Tor, where people can then sell various items and services, anything illegal that you want. And it recently emerged that an 8-year-old child used his iPad to access the dark web and buy a number of
I got the Among Us potion from the dark
an
web.
AK-47. The gun even arrived to his house, with the mother eventually handing it over to the police. But this brought up an uncomfortable discussion here. If kids are being raised by iPads, they will see every corner of the internet, and accessing the dark web on an iPhone or iPad is remarkably easy.
It sucks, doesn't it?
Once a child does so, he or she enters a world where their safety and innocence becomes endangered almost instantly. You see, 1 in 50 children are affected by child identity fraud, and more than half of victims are children under 9 years old. So what makes a child's identity so attractive? Well, it's likely because their social security number and credit history represents a clean slate that may remain untouched and potentially unchecked for possibly quite a few years, even decades. And if the theft goes unnoticed, a criminal could utilize a child's social security number to establish a credit history over an extended period. And this deception may remain concealed until the child seeks a driver's license, employment, or financial assistance for education. One thing that won't be rare with Generation Alpha and iPad kids especially is the rise of involuntary celibates, lonely, sex-starved young men embittered by a sense of romantic failure who find each other in communities online. You see more and more with things like Tinder, with Instagram, with adult content. All of this stuff is affecting the mental health of everyone everywhere, but especially Generation Alpha, as I've already discussed. But one thing this does is create a lack of community and cohesion. You never get to connect with people your age, and the more this happens, especially to Generation Alpha, the more involuntary celibates you get. People who can't interact with the other sex because they've never been socialized properly. And this ties in with a huge drop in testosterone levels amongst young men. In fact, prolonged social media use actually lowers testosterone levels in males.
It's been shown that social media can cause the lowering of testosterone levels.
That's affecting their sex drive and mood. More and more males.
Social media is reducing our testosterone. Can you believe that? What? How do you even prove that? Wait.
Depression, anxiety.
Yeah, if you make a Twitter account, you instantly lose half of your testosterone. You're dumb boys.
And this completely coincides with the drop in testosterone. Now, there's so many factors for this, and I've discussed this multiple times on this channel. And whilst there's the food, the water, the hormones in our environment, social media and digital devices are also draining the masculine vigor out of young men, rendering them limp, lifeless, loathsome, and lonesome. In fact, the average teen today is now spending up to 6 hours per day doom scrolling their lives away, and probably far more on their computer as well. And so just imagine a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old kid getting addicted to these algorithms from such a young age, getting their dopamine fried by these devices. By the time they're 18, they're already a full-on social media addict, with their brain fried, wasting their lives away looking at pixels. By the time they're 18, most children now in Generation Alpha will have probably spent close to 5 years completely online. And I mean that literally in the time spent looking at the devices.
They were talking about girls earlier as well.
Is it any surprise that Generation Alpha will get
they kind of started with that.
Dumber, lonelier? Things are bad now, but sadly things are only going to get worse here. if parents continue to bring up their children with iPads.
Because there's no women on the internet, true.
Any of this stuff. They have no idea the consequences because they never experienced this themselves. And it's so much easier giving a kid an iPad than taking them out to do sports, which means a whole new generation is emerging. That's why Generation Alpha may very well prove to be the most problematic generation in all of human history. Especially with the rise of AI, an iPhone moment on steroids, where will this put Generation Alpha? Those born between 2012 and the mid-2020s will grow up in a world where AI assistants, not mum and dad, will reign supreme. We already have people marrying pixelated characters. Human relationships are dying out.
The perfect
AI is
wife.
just adding fuel to
Look
the
at
fire
that.
here. And as humans
Wow,
spend
marrying
less and less time
Hatsune
interacting
Miku.
in the real world and more time immersed inside virtual ones, AI partners may very well replace human ones. And as the iPads grow up, we may very well be living in idiocracy in just a few decades.
That's crazy. I mean, it just sucks. I mean, I think there are many reasons to why everything is crumbling up to this portion of time. Like, I mean, there's so many. Honestly, I think if parents, like, you would always have some bad contenders. But I honestly think if parents had more, like, open room to actually breed and spend time with their kids, I'm gonna be honest, I think that this wouldn't really be as big of an issue as it at the moment is. Because I think that the fact that parents are overworking and barely earning any fucking thing is really causing a lot of issues and stress for them. And then they just, like, they look at the iPad as the easiest solution to just distract their kid while they're trying to relax and breathe for a moment. To be fair, if I would have to live with a Zoomer wife, I would highly consider Hatsune. Okay. All right. Okay, let's move on.